Now look, I know what you're thinking, YouTube. You're thinking, Dan, you've told me how to play the game, that's great, I've got the basics. You've given me a whole bunch of heroes to pull for, and I've gone and got them, but like, how do I build a team? How do I, like, what's the point of these heroes? How do I use them? Why are some different than the others? And don't worry fam, I got you, right? So today we're going to be going through like the different types of units that you pull for, what that means, how to build a team around those units, and maybe some different examples of how you can build a team, right? So let's get stuck into it. So I'm going to use this format again because it's nice and easy. So there's this kind of a couple of different types of units. I suppose I really break them down into 3 different types. Well, 4 if you include the sub-slot units. But on the battlefield, you kind of have 3 if you want to. You kind of have you have your support units, right? So these are the units that support your damage or your tank. Spoiler alert, the other 2 are damage and tank, but these are the units that support those heroes. You know, maybe give them buffs, maybe reduce their damage that they take, maybe, you know, allow them to do more things, whatever it is, right? Then you have the tank units, and you know, no surprise, these ones are designed to basically tank the damage, right? They absorb the damage, they keep it away from your other team, maybe from your damage, and allow your team more survivability. And lucky last is obviously the damage dealers, right? I call them DPS because I'm also from a first-person shooter background, or you know, other games that's damage per second, but you're talking damage dealers. So basically the ones that are designed to kill enemies, kill bosses, kill other players in PvP, whatever. Like they're designed to dish it out. So let's go through a couple of support heroes that you potentially want to have. I did cover a couple of these in my other videos in terms of heroes you want, heroes that are great, and heroes that will be beneficial. But we'll cover some more here. So first one is if you played back in the collab, you got Kizuna for free. The way she kind of supports the team is she increases basic stats, right, through her silver card. Her free holy relic increases all allies attack related stats, and then her unique basically ranks up her own stuff, right? So she can rank up with this and then use this on the whole team. So her whole thing is increasing basic stats and, you know, increasing the attack that you do. So she can be really helpful. Her gold card as well cleanses debuffs, which gives you debuff immunity, which can be really beneficial for things like, you know, OG Demon if you get to that point. Next is good old Gotha. I've spoken about him in other videos before. Depending on the Gotha you have, there's this one, there's the red one, there's also the festival one as well, right? So green Gotha, you've also got, if I can find them, festival Gotha, you've got red Gotha. So all these Gothas pretty much are always supports, right? They're designed to, again, increase damage or rank up cards with their rank up ability, give you a little bit more survivability, more attack. So green Gotha, for example, rank up as well as increase allies attack, right? So designed to support the team and give more attack. Margaret, I've got a little video coming about her. Definitely if you can pull her, she's worth it. But basically, the main reason she was used heaps a little while back. She's fallen off a bit now, especially in PvP, but she can be very helpful, and the reason for it is the blue card. So kind of similar to Kizune, basically, she can remove debuffs. This one's at level 1 though, which is awesome, and increases damage dealt and decreases damage taken. Right, so this blue card can be really strong, and at gold, it increases your basic stats as well. So it can be really strong to help improve the damage and improve your survivability in the team. And her grace works really well, obviously, if you have other goddesses in your team as well. Lucky last, I shouted him out in my free-to-play guide. I love this Arthur. Again, I think he's slept on, but this Arthur kind of can almost double as a tank as well, right? He can be a support / tank slot, because what he does, as I spoke about, increases damage dealt and decreases damage taken, right? His Holy Relic is really strong against, you know, applying decreasing defense-related stats if they can be decreased as well. But he can kind of fill in the mid-roll, but the main reason why he's support is, you know, he's got no taunt or anything like that. So these 3 are examples of support units. There's a whole bunch of different in the game, but these kind of give you an idea as well. Alrighty, the tank slot. The heroes are designed to absorb the damage, right, and tank it. So my personal favorite is Festival Deanne. She just does it all, right? She has a taunt. She has a damage card. Her unique is quite long but very strong. The more damage she takes, basically, the stronger she gets. She reduces damage taken by the team, and she also has a healing ultimate as well. I've only got a 1 out of 6, I've only just pulled her recently, but at 6 out of 6, she heals allies by 30%, which is really helpful. So not much to say about this Deanne. I mentioned her in my other video again to pull for, but she's a great tank all round and does a lot. Next you have Arthur. He works very well on the human team. His Holy Relic is very, very strong as well. It's my next one I'm going to get for this guy, but it works very well, and he increases all max HP and damage dealt if every ally is human. So great tank for if you are running a human team. Again, it's got a taunt card as well, which also depletes the ultimate move gauge, which I really like. So if you're running this in PvP and they attack you, then they lose ultimate gauge. Matrona, I got a video just kind of throwing her a mention coming out shortly, but she is again, taunt increases her defense related stats, has a remove buff card, and can heal the team with a bit of her regeneration. So this is Halloween Matrona, basically a staple for early on in the bird if you're doing the bird, and again a great tank unit. So the thing you're probably noticing with all of these so far is they've all got taunts, right guys? Like the whole idea is they take the focus away from your damage dealers and your supports, which means that you can absorb the damage over here, and your DPS and your support can do what they need to do as well. I don't know, he's not necessarily a standard tank unit, but Tamiel, being a heavily defense-based hero, can be a good tank, and he has a stance card which actually reduces the final damage taken by 40%, and we take that damage for Tamiel, but then we have a unique that can kind of heal back, right? So not so much a standard tank, but can be a good tank in the Goddess team, for example, and has that grace which allows him to heal back. Sorry, not the unique. So look, not a standard tank, but is helpful in the Goddess team, but these three are kind of my shout-outs. Like I said, my favourite's Deanne. She just kind of works across all of them, but you can work with all of these and build them around what team you're having. And lucky last, the fun ones, right? The ones that we all enjoy, the one we see the big numbers hit, and how you clear through bosses and smash through the storyline. So there should be a couple of heroes in here that are no surprise for anyone who's been playing the game. Escanor, I mean, I said it last time, it's just broken. Does so much damage, has a Scorch or Death single target attack, an AoE ult, and just basically the longer he's in the fight, the more attack strength he gets, and just is the biggest damage dealer in the game. Next is good old Trader Melly, who's only just recently been dethroned by Escanor. I still have a special place in my heart for Trader Melly. I think he's brilliant. I really like his passive because it supports the team as well. But basically we have amplify single targets and increase it, and he gets buffs every time people use the single target skill on the team. So yeah, great damage dealer, and will still be in my heart the number 1, but probably the number 2 unit in the game now, unfortunately, because Escanor's dethroned him. Again, Barn's kind of fallen off a little bit, but Barn is an example of maybe a different type of DPS unit, right? Like if you're running the human team with that Arthur as your tank, because it increases your HP, Purgatory Barn actually runs off HP rather than attack for the damage he deals. So you want to run like an HP build for this guy. I don't have my HP UR gear on him at the moment because it's on my other Barn, but basically run an HP crit build for this guy, and then he can be a lot of fun to play with and can dish out a lot of AoE damage as well, and has great survivability. So interesting kind of DPS there, but and has been slightly displaced by Reinhardt, but I still have I like Barn. I like my OG 7 Deadly Sins. They got a special place in my heart. And lucky last, you're saying like Sariel. Right, now this would be like DPS for on the Goddess team. So Red Sariel, again, a little bit older now, but can still do well. I used him a lot on the Deer before I changed my team around a little bit. Has a Power Strike card, which is very strong. A Sever AoE attack, and then a Sever main. So again, with the unique, he works very well on the Angel team, or the Goddess team, sorry, excuse me. Increases their basic stats as well. Right, so all this stuff that increases their basic stats and has probably the best DPS grace in the game. Cool, so these are some examples of some damage, some tank, and support heroes. You're like, that's great, Dan, but like, how do I actually go about building a team? Right, now, we're going to do a very quick build on vid. This closely resembles probably my PvP team, but I want to start this off by saying, you know, you don't necessarily need to have 1 damage, 1 tank, 1 support, right? You can mix and match these. Maybe you want to have a couple of damage and then 1 support, and your whole thing is, let me see how quickly I can delete the enemy team, how much I can glass cannon this, right? Maybe you want to have 2 tanks and damage, right? So I'm just going to tank the damage and let my 1 guy survive. You do want to obviously play around with it, have some fun with it, make sure the uniques line up with each one that you're doing. So obviously if you're doing a goddess team, goddesses that have a uniques that support each other work very well together, right? You know, you run Zariel, Tarmiel, Margaret, and then Liz, they all combine together well because they have good uniques and passives that boost each other's stats, right? So you can run these guys together. Maybe you love the demons, right? And you want to run the demon team. You can have the Esterosa, you can have Hendrickson for AoEs for darkness, you can run melee for the buffs, and then because you're doing debuffs, you run Zeldris in the back. So, and then you've obviously got the human team as we're talking about with Barn, right? So you can play around with these and have some fun with these. There are some set teams that obviously people have built over the last couple of years of the game, and that do consistently work well and synergize really well together. But have some fun with it, make your own, pull together your favorite heroes and see what you can make happen. All right, so let's do it. So for sake of argument, I'm going to build a somewhat balanced team, as boring as that can be. But let's say, okay, the first thing I want to do is I probably want some sort of damage dealer, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put Trader Melly as my damage dealer, right? So he's going to be the guy that dishes out my damage for me. And as a link, what I want to give him is I want to give him Red Sariels because I want that grace. If you want to know more about that, check out my other video, but this will be my damage, right? This will be my guy for damage. Next, I want to have a tank unit, or someone that can kind of tank the damage for me and, dish it out if need to. I'm going to pick Tian because she's, like I said, my favorite tank and just does a lot. And I'm going to give her this Tarmiel Grace because, again, it's just busted. I covered the graces and links in a previous video. Please check it out if you want to. I think it's in my heroes that you want to have video. But that's how you want to basically run your tank with a Tarmiel link and then your DPS with a Zariel link. Lucky last, I'm going to put some sort of support hero to go with these guys. So I think I'm actually going to run Green Gotha because he has a really good passive that increases my attack related stats for all from different races, right? So that basically means that, Trader Melly is going to, server maintenance is coming up soon, basically means that Trader Melly is going to be boosted, and so is Deanne. Lucky last, I am going to have a good support unit, so because I'm relying on some DPS here, we're boosting attack stats, we've got melee. I'm going to run Brawler Barn in the back, because he increases all my attack related stats, because he has a sub-slot unique ability. Wicked, and I'm just going to give him a good dupe level hero to increase my CC, and I'll do the same for Gotha. Where's a good unit? There we go, perfect. Cool guys, and this would be say a PvP team or a general missions team because I have a damage dealer, I have a tank that can absorb it, and I also have a support unit and a good sub slot as well. So like I said, play around with the different units you want, play around with different, if you have particular favorites, you can build teams specifically based around those if you really want to. But this is just an example of how you can build up a team and then, get stuck in. So have some fun, tell me all your wacky team designs down below in the comments, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.